Today, I want to talk to you about the most life-altering, terrifying maybe to some, verses in Scripture. I know that this verse completely flipped my entire world upside down, or maybe right side up. This verse is encouraging for so many people, but I think that it's a verse that is highly misunderstood. The verse is Psalm 37:4. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Perfect, right? Who doesn't want the desires of their heart? And I think so often we take this verse to God and we say, here God, here are the desires of my heart. I'm delighting myself in you. I believe you exist. So does this promise get fulfilled? This verse is a little bit tricky. When you take the first part of the verse and you truly delight yourself in the Lord, and you truly take time to spend time in His Word, to ask to be in His presence, to fellowship with His people, to go out and do the things that He wants to do. And He starts to change your heart. And then He fulfills the rest of the verse, which He gives you the desires of your heart, which are actually the desires of His heart, because He's changed your heart to be like His. So now all of a sudden you want to do the things He would want to do. You want to read the things He would read, or watch the things He would watch, and think of all the things that could glorify Him, because now you have His heart. In my own life, this verse has done amazing things. I put a big emphasis on dreams like being rich and famous and being successful and those types of things. That was what I wanted to do. And God was obviously going to help me do those things because I believed in Him. And that prosperity gospel tells us that, well, of course He's going to give us good things. But what I found that the more I delighted myself in Him, the more I read my Bible, the more I read His words, the more I saw His miracles, the more that I spent time with Christ, I realized that I cared more about telling my friends and family about eternity than I did about people knowing about my fame. I realized I cared more about letting people in on the hope and joy and peace of the truth of Scripture than I cared about making money or being successful. I cared more about Christian media and making sure that the truth was getting out there more than I cared about my own dreams of sports broadcast journalism or working on MTV or different things like that. And the more that I wanted the things He wanted, I found that I had different desires. Which makes sense because God was giving me my desires. And God created us. He knows us better than we even know ourselves. Not only does He give us desires that He created, but He gives us the fulfillments or the cure to those desires. He has created us with desires and wishes and hopes and dreams, and when we're starting to want the things He wants, He all of a sudden puts little miracles in your day-to-day life. Waking up in the morning, seeing a child grow up, seeing nature, seeing landscapes, traveling, being physically active and making your body healthy, and learning about nutrition and how our body heals itself, and all of a sudden all of these little things that happen throughout the day are miracles because you have the heart that God has. I have found that I have desires I never thought I would have. And the worldly things, which I know is a cliche statement, the worldly things, and maybe some other time I'll get into what I define as worldly things, but all of a sudden they don't mean as much. It's just because God has changed my entire outlook, and now even if I don't get the desires fulfilled here, I know that He promises to fulfill those desires in eternity. Look up this text, Psalm 37:4, and I want you to pray over it and ask God to show you this promise, to fulfill this promise in your life, because He wants to. He not only wants to fulfill the desires, but He wants to give you the desires in the first place. And when you delight yourself in the Lord, I promise He will give you the desires of your heart.